Welcome back to No Mo Rural Data Centers. My name is Millie Ryan. I wanted to provide a quick update following yesterday's hearing in Union with the Franklin County Commission.
On your sites, Holden Kerwicki is live at East Central College, where the debate is still going strong.
That's right, Mike and Kelly. And during the course of today's debate and testimony to the Franklin County Board, I heard one speaker compare data centers and call data centers the heart of the modern day industrial revolution. However, I heard about 100 speakers following that one, asking the county board to pull the plug on data centers while they still can. Throughout the 9 hours of testimony so far today, the only people to speak in support of rezoning 1,000 acres for a $40 billion data center development were the developers themselves. Their attorney committed to following all county regulations, designing additional setbacks from homes after gathering community feedback, and limiting sound and emissions output. However, dozens of residents questioned the environmental impacts data centers could have on the surrounding area, as well as the impact to utility rates. One speaker told me that data centers have become the issue that is uniting Democrats and Republicans across Franklin County.
The community does not want these developments. We've come together. There's no division here. There wasn't a single person that spoke in favor of the data center, not a single resident, and it's honestly kind of optimistic that I see everyone on the same page.
Reporting live in Union, Missouri, Holden Kerwicki, 5 on your side.
There were 3 major items on the agenda. One was regarding changes in zoning regulations pertaining to data centers. The second is the zoning request for Diamond Farms, and third was the rezoning request for Crooked Creek, both of which they want to have rezoned to heavy industrial to accommodate the proposed hyperscale data centers. My husband and I attended the meeting, and I've got to tell you, it was a marathon. That hearing lasted more than 13 hours. The attendance was huge, considering the meeting was scheduled for Monday morning at 9 a.m., a time when many working residents simply could not attend. And I do want to address that because at the regular commissioners' meeting on May 12th, many of the citizens brought this up and asked the commission to reconsider how the hearing was being handled. There were suggestions on how to make this more accommodating so that citizens can participate in their local politics. There were suggestions of having a separate hearing for each of these issues, or at a minimum, allowing earlier sign-ups for the public comment, or perhaps having a list and giving people the speaker order so that people could plan. But instead, anyone who wanted to testify had to sign up in person before 9 o'clock on Monday. With no speaker schedule available, that meant many were expected to sit all day not knowing when their turn would come. A 13-hour meeting with hundreds of testimonies is really not productive. And how can anyone reasonably absorb and consider that much information in one sitting? All of the speakers are limited to just 3 minutes. That's barely enough time to introduce yourself, much less explain complex concerns involving property rights, environmental impacts, infrastructure, health issues, or long-term economic consequences. As a hearing, the speaker's input is important and vital. It does go on the record, and there was an opportunity, and many people did provide written submissions as well, exhibits and research documents that would outline their position in more detail. Most of the people that were there yesterday that I spoke with, they have the impression that the commissioners are just simply not interested in hearing from the public and that the decisions are really already made. The meeting was honestly emotional for many, many people, and it was heartbreaking to hear one after another. Lifelong residents came to the microphone to tell their stories, people who have lived in these communities for generations, people who moved here because they needed the clean air, the quiet surroundings. They wanted open land, a healthier environment for their families. They didn't plan to move next to an industrial complex. Many talked about pouring their life savings into their homes, and now they fear their homes are unsellable. The contamination of the groundwater, the air pollution, the noise pollution, the traffic that would be coming in and out with the construction. What stood out to me was how informed the public was. The overwhelming majority of residents came prepared with research, data, references, and examples from communities across the country who have been telling their story, having already dealt with these issues. The only voices advocating the projects were the developers and their representatives. It was interesting to note the developers had boards with renderings and visual plans that they showed directly to the commissioners, but the public was seated behind them, so we couldn't even see what was being shown when the developers were presenting their case. That's one reason that so many residents have really requested town halls or community informational meetings where citizens could actually review plans, ask questions, and engage in a meaningful discussion. So far, none of that has happened. Questions aren't being answered. People don't know what is planned. The commissioners do, and they seem very comfortable with it, and like their mind is already made up. The developers made promises about mitigating the noise pollution and air pollution and water usage and environmental impact. But these assurances were not backed by detailed or technical studies, enforceable guarantees, or proven examples of similar completed projects. You know, in previous episodes, we've talked extensively about the fragmented regulatory system surrounding these hyperscale data centers. We have an episode I would refer you to called Who's Really in Charge? Why Can't We Get Any Answers? That breaks down how unclear accountability becomes when projects are approved piece by piece by various departments, regulatory systems, state and local. Missouri simply does not have comprehensive statewide standards specifically designed for hyperscale data centers. We hope and pray that the commissioners of Franklin County will take their commitment and their job seriously and do what they say they're here to do. The Franklin County Planning and Zoning Department's mission is to provide professional service to support the present and future citizenry of Franklin County. Services are to be provided in a responsible, cooperative manner while working with others in achieving protection of our public, private, and natural resources. I think right now their main focus is a lot of money that might be coming in. They are seeing this as a big improvement. I have to wonder if the commissioners are paying attention to the information out there, watching news, watching independent media, because frankly, every single day I am bombarded with shows talking about data centers. It's all over the map right now, and data centers are being canceled all over the country. Why are they so bound and determined to do this deal and to do this to us? Nobody understands it. We aren't getting answers from them. Why are they believing and trusting in the developers and not their own people? We don't want what they're promising because we know it's not going to come across. I'll be working on putting together more information from the hearing with more clips and excerpts. These things all take time. But with this episode, you know what occurred at the hearing and where we stand. There was no decision made, and I'm thankful for that. We need time. They need time. This whole thing needs to just slow down. This is going to be a long battle, and we hope that the commissioners will start to actually look at some of the facts and reconsider what their stance is.